Hello, my dear loved ones. How are you doing? I just watched a video about, it's called 1984 versus Brave New World, How Freedom Dies. Video by the Academy of Ideas. I think I may have mentioned him before. I watch him once in a while. He has some pretty good comments and reports on various things. And so really what he was talking about, everybody should know who Huxley is and Orwell. So that was, I think Brave New World is Huxley's, I think Orwell is 1984. So I think most people know those two books, which are so relevant today. And so he's talking about how these affect what we are living in today and the dangers we are living in today, especially when we look at Christian or biblical guidelines. So he's talking about mainly hedonism. Of course, he's talking about various styles of politics. So he's talking about, first starts out with capitalism, socialism, fascism, okay? And he's saying, well, bottom line is what we're having today is that people become very hedonistic. And because they're hedonistic, they have no more interest in getting involved in politics, and therefore really, well, let's put it, tyrants can take over. And that's exactly what we're having today. So I've been talking about why in the world, do we have people being so complacent? What has happened? Of course, people always say, well, we leave the Christian guidelines. And of course, Christian guidelines, they mean biblical guidelines. But what are they doing? What are they replacing it with? And people, that has always been the case. People have replaced it, or have always used pleasure as a substitute, of course, for biblical guidelines. And we're living in a very strongly pleasurable society, and that's called hedonism. And so the pleasure is number one in one's lifestyle, action, and thoughts. The term originates in ethical philosophy, where axiological or value hedonism is the claim that pleasure is the sole form of intrinsic value, while normative and ethical hedonism claims that pursuing pleasure and avoiding pain for oneself or others are the ultimate expression of ethical good. I'm not sure if that's ethical, but that's what people think. And that is what we have in today. Our society is motivated by seeking pleasure, lustful desires, and we have that in the Bible, that Jesus or God says this is how they're deceived, because they're following these lustful desires and not what is really good for them. Lustful desires and avoiding pain. So that's why people run after pharmakia. Not too long ago, I did make a video about pharmakia, right? And why is pharmakia deceiving people? That's very simple. It's deceiving people because it gives them a way out of pain, and they can continue their lustful desires, their lustful lifestyle. Just with one little, drug, they can get rid of the pain. That's what we have today, and that's why we have so many people addicted to painkillers or drugs. Because people are used to having a lustful lifestyle. And this lustful lifestyle, of course, came from a lifestyle of doing well. Because this is what we were starting with. Okay, we wanted to do better and better and better, have more and more and more things. And that came out of really capitalism, acquiring more and more wealth. And so everybody is doing good. And now we are addicted to that lifestyle, to this pleasurable, lustful lifestyle. We always have to look for more and more pleasure. Well, if we're not having pleasure by just being, having sex with the opposite sex, then we go to the same sex because maybe we have more pleasure there. Well, that started, of course, already in the 60s, where we thought, well, having sex, no matter when and with whom, is the lifestyle, the pleasure that we are going to seek. We went down the slippery slope in every area. In every area. So now add this with food. Only what is tasteful to our taste buds. And of course, we got used to all these sugary fast foods, bad foods, okay, that carbons made out of carbons, yeah. And so now we are addicted to this pleasure, and we're not thinking what is good and good for our body. And so this is what has happened. We are going down the slippery slope. Okay, we have been going down for years and years and years. The slippery slope of pleasure or hedonism. And I've never looked at that word that close, but that's what it is. So it says that the pleasure and suffering are the only components of well-being. So in other words, no suffering and only pleasure. It's unbelievable. Read it. I read the definition, the explanation on Wikipedia. At least that's a good start. And then start thinking, where is this stuff coming from? Of course, it comes because we're leaving biblical guidelines behind. But it's not biblical guidelines. I have a friend that kept saying, oh, we lost, people are not following Christian guidelines. It's not the problem. The problem is that Jesus forgot or neglected or got away from following Jesus. That's the bottom line. Nothing else. Not, they forgot, Christian principles or even biblical principles. No, you can't just follow biblical principles because eventually your human nature takes over. Biblical principle you can't follow when somebody makes you and gives you sanctions. Yeah, you can do that at home with your parents when they punish you for not being a good girl or a good boy, right? But that's not what we want. Because once a human being leaves these sanctions, and it doesn't matter, people, if they're sanctioned from the parents or just by somebody telling them in their brain, oh, if you are not a good girl or good boy, you're going to go to hell. Okay? You're going to be punished. You're going to be in the lake of fire. That is also sanction. And that may motivate people for a while. But once they wake up and say, wait a minute, is that really true? Then they continue with their pleasurable nature. Because that is the nature of the fallen human kind. You understand that? That's the nature of fallen humankind. It's not, oh, we are going to follow Christian values or biblical values, or we're following Jesus. That's not what we're having today. Okay, or that's not what human beings are doing. Human beings will go to default, and that default is a fallen human being, and a fallen human being will always strive to eliminate pain and to increase lustful desires. Always. And that is, of course, called what? Hedonism. And that is what Satan is using. He is using exactly that. And that is also hindering human beings from creating any healthy, first, relationships, okay, healthy relationships, and then healthy organizations, and then healthy political systems. They will never, ever, okay, get to that point. There may be times when there is noble people trying to start something, good, but it will always fail, whether it's a government or whether it is a church or whether it is a relationship like a marriage, okay, or friendship. It will always fail, which is a sad thing, because Jesus, or who said it? Paul said it, that we should not neglect the assembly of one another. But what do we do if we, do not find, an assembly of believers that is healthy? Should we continue the assembly or should we leave it? And I think that's always the case, because we have to start with small groups, because then we now have to think, what are we going to do when we have a bad assemblies or a bad political system? Should we continue to support it, like our political system that is absolutely corrupt, no matter what side we're on, what party we're on? Both sides are corrupt. Both parties are absolutely corrupt and are in the hands of corrupt people. Why? Because in a way, because we allowed capitalism, okay, that really exploited people. Yeah, we had a chance, to acquire things, to work hard, all these things that capitalism, helps us with. But at the same time, people, there's only very few people that acquire wealth keeping the other person in mind. Most people will take advantage of other people. We're seeing this in our system. Everybody wants to make money, free money, which really interest is. Okay? When you're thinking you can get a lot of interest on your money, you're pulling it from other people. Okay? That's what interest is. And it's exploiting other people. People may not understand that, but that's what it is. So our system is absolutely and totally corrupt, because it's corrupt because of human nature. And human nature is hedonism. Okay? A fallen human nature is hedonism. And there may be exceptions, people that really try, to be good, biblical, whatever, Christian, whatever you want to call it. Really, the only way to follow Jesus, only way you can solve this dilemma in this world is following Jesus. That's the only thing. When you follow anything in this world, you go in the wrong way. Anything, any political system. Okay, so you follow democratic socialism or democracy. It always ends up bad. We see that with our Democratic Party. I used to, support more the Democratic Party than the Republican Party, simply because I saw that capitalism is exploitation. Exploitation of, the poor, exploitation of the people that have less money and that are struggling. And so I was under that impression, democracy is the better solution. But today we have infiltrators into our Democratic Party, that absolutely are no better than capitalists. They are exploiting the people also. And they are also only interested in their gain. Look at our politicians today in the Democratic Party. They only have their gain in mind. I just saw a video about Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he was talking about his father telling him to always have the poor in mind. And I think that's noble, and that's why his dad was killed. He's running for president right now, candidate for the presidency, and I'm not sure if he would make it. He has good ideas, but even I know even Kennedy has his weak spots. He is not really a follower of Jesus. He may say, I'm a Christian. I'm not even sure if he's a Catholic still, which his family is traditionally. So, but it seems like human nature always takes over. And what we then get is hedonism. And we have that hedonism galore because we had such such a good time, prosperous time. We have lived in such prosperous time, and lots of people, I don't know if it's Huxley or Orwell actually said that, and others said the same thing, that good times create weak people, create wimps. We will not have strong men or strong women during times of wealth. Really, when times are hard, humankind creates stronger people and healthier people, really, than in good times. And people forget that. And so this is something that we need to keep in mind. And again, read Paul. I have read so many things about Paul that shows clearly that that's the nature of humankind, is having lustful desires. And in their lustful desires, they just do anything, anything they have to continue that lustful desire and also to continue to be pain-free. So they will be deceived very easily. And I think that is the danger. That's the danger of getting addicted to these lustful desires and getting addicted to pain through life. Pain is part of life, and we don't want to acknowledge that. Why? Because we're seeing it on TV. All right, take this pill, and in 5 minutes, you're feeling better. Everything, okay, is geared towards making people pain-free. And that's not life. That is not life. Or then we're going not only pain-free, but hey, we want to prolong life, this painful life, which is, it's a painful life, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. We're living in pain. It's a very tough life that we're having. But yeah, I wanted to make this video, and I also will put the video by, what is it called? Academy of Ideas on the bottom. Okay. By the Academy of Ideas. Again, I don't know if this person is actually Christian or a follower of Jesus. Let's put it that way. Many people say they're Christians, but they're not. But followers of Jesus. Is he a follower of Jesus? And most likely he isn't. All right. Let the Holy Spirit guide you always.